quite the amazing causes and also the work that Stanbic Bank is doing for our society. I mean, if we talk about climate change and climate impact, it's been a global conversation, and it's good that Stanbic Bank is actively participating in making sure that we are making our environment and the world we live in a much better place. And this also happens here in Zambia. If we talk about helping Zambians in challenges that they're facing in their businesses, even in their homes. And right now, the energy sector has been greatly affected. Still coming back to the issue of climate change. And what we've seen is load shedding getting to happen, or load management as others do call it. But what are you doing about the current situation that we're in, especially when we talk about getting into alternative sources of energy? Well, Stanbic Bank is also helping you make this possible, especially particularly through financing the alternative sources of energy that you plan on getting. And this is what we'll be talking about this morning with our guest, Vice President, well, not of the Republic of Zambia, in case you're wondering. In case you think you're going to say Mrs. W. Kim Telenalumango. Well, we're talking about the Vice President for Energy, Infrastructure and Real Estate Finance at Stanbic Bank, Mr. Nkandu Machungwa. Good morning and welcome to the Phoenix Breakfast.
Good morning, Chimweka. Good morning, Hope. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we have the Vice President in studio, you know?
Yeah, not an elected one.
But great to have you as we get into this conversation. Let's talk about, your role at Stanbic Bank, and especially around corporate and investment banking.
Right. So I was here a couple of months ago, first of all, and I said to Chimweka when I walked in, thanks for having me at a decent hour. I got to have a whole normal morning before I came here. But similar to the last time I was here, basically what I do is sitting within the corporate and investment banking space, which is a division of the bank that specifically services corporate clients and large organizations. I look at the energy and infrastructure space as well as the real estate finance space, and I specifically focus on long-term financing for solutions for those segments of the economy, and trying to find ways to put in place long-term structured solutions that allow these clients to fund their projects, usually capex and large expansionary projects. Thank you.
All right. Now, you've mentioned that you look at economic sectors, which of course include the energy sector, a key driver of the economy, which has been impacted by the 2023-2024 drought. What are your views on the current energy deficit?
Well, look, I have an interesting way of looking at it. I think it's obviously been very, very painful and unfortunate for our country, because there was a lot that was I think planned for last year. You look at where the country was going. Last year was supposed to be a big year for us in terms of GDP growth and so on, and that energy deficit really hampered our ability to develop the nation as we wanted, to attain those figures. And also on a personal basis, a number of us had times, I remember in September, where we had no power for 3 days, and it could be massively inconveniencing on a personal basis. But I do think there's a silver lining to be seen, because what it has shown us is that we do need to start looking at alternative ways of generating power, more sustainable ways of generating power, and diversifying our energy mix really as a country. So I think what the drought has brought on is really something that we should have been looking at, and maybe kind of took for granted in terms of that diversification. And you're seeing a lot of that work starting to happen now. So I kind of look at it both ways.
There's been a lot of conversations around sustainability. It seems to be the key word, the buzzword around the energy sector now. Getting back to now your role with investment banking, how is this creating a solution in light of the recent energy crisis?
Right. So, sustainability, you're right, it's the buzzwords where we're going as I guess as the globe, right? You talk about climate change, and of course the main factor behind the drought we had was climate change, and we are looking now, as we look at the world going forward, to try and deal a lot of these climate concerns that are impacting us and impacting our daily lives, right? So we want to be more sustainable in things that we do, because we want to protect the environment. We want to be able to hand over a world to our children and grandchildren that is what we had, or even better. Now, how do we achieve that? We're looking to finance projects that do not have negative or adverse impact on the economy. So in fact, not in the economy, in the environment. And in fact, you'll find that there are sustainable projects or sustainability linked projects which have, it's a wide array looking at environmental kind of impacts, so clean energy and things of that sort. Sustainability linked being things around, employing more women and all these other things, equity in the in the environment, economy, etc. But from an energy perspective, largely we'd be talking about clean means of generation of power. So your solars, your hydros, your winds, and things like that will generate power but won't leave a negative carbon footprint. And we're looking at how do we fund projects like that will generate the power that we need, but also leave the environment in a better place going forward.
All right. Now, looking at the current energy crisis, when it comes to some of the solutions or options, what kind of options or solutions does Stanbic offer its CIB clients as they look to weather the current energy crisis?
Right. So I think the beauty of what we do is we have a whole wide range of solutions that we offer to our clients, but we also try and ensure that we tailor these solutions to a client's needs. I think the obvious answer that comes to mind, we're in Zambia, it's sunny almost every day of the year, is solar. It's simple, it's quick, it gets installed very quickly, and I think a number of clients are running to that as a solution. But we are open to look at other options such as wind, such as hydro, such as, hydro is actually broken into many different kind of subsectors. You have large dams, you've got smaller dams, you've got run of river. All of these things are things we're looking at, and all of these options are on the table at Stanbic Bank. I think the goal for us is to try and ensure that it is a solution that works for a client and makes sense in terms of what they're trying to achieve, and also is again sustainable, as you've said, and financially they're able to afford it, and it doesn't apply pressure on the business as it goes forward. So again, even the business remains sustainable and is able to continue to function.
Let's talk more on the off-grid energy sources and captive energy, because obviously this is now the direction people are thinking, whether it's home, but especially also on the business side of things.
Okay, so I mean, I'd just like to highlight at this point, Stanbic Bank's actually been having, since about 2019, conferences every year except for, I think, maybe 2021 when COVID hit us, specifically talking to energy and off-grid energy solutions. And I think when we started talking about it, everybody was like, well, yeah, you guys are making a bit of noise. And then all of this has happened, and people sort of remember these sessions we've been having. But basically, when you talk about an off-grid solution, it's basically power that is either non-reliant or not connected to the grid. And initially, I think when we were talking about this stuff, we were looking at maybe, entities that were probably far off and unable to connect to the grid, being ZESCO, the utility, unable to access that power. But now you've got a situation where even the grid itself is off more often than not, right? So effectively, if you've put on a solar solution at your house that generates power, it's an off-grid solution, right? Of course, it could be grid tied, so there's a nuance there in that you could have an off-grid solution that has the ability to be connected to the grid and can still draw from the grid, but basically an off-grid solution is one that doesn't rely on the grid to generate power. Now, the captive solutions that you mentioned, Chimweka, are solutions where for our clients, we're looking at self-generation for their own needs. So effectively, at your site or even away from your site, because now the grid has actually open access. You can generate power in Nimba and send it to Lusaka, right, and have it directly sent to you. It effectively is power that is generated purely for one's own use and needs. Now the laws have changed, as I mentioned. You've got wheeling, you've got net metering. If you're generating more power than you need, you can actually sell into the grid. So a lot's happening in the sector now that's making these options a lot more financially viable. You could look at, say, putting in a megawatt of power on your roof, and maybe you don't need all of it. You could actually sell it to ZESCO and make a little bit of money off of it. So we're looking at engaging clients and finding the most, I think, beneficial way of delivering these solutions to them financially. How does it make sense for you? Of course, these are long-term solutions, power generation solutions, 20 to 25 years. You put that in and you've got a solution. You don't have to worry about that, and it allows you to focus on your core business on a day-to-day basis.
All right. Now let's talk about the benefits and who can benefit from off-grid energy solutions, and how they can obviously tap into sustainable finance?
Okay, so as I mentioned, even your house that's got solar panels on the roof effectively could be viewed almost as an off-grid solution. But pretty much anybody can benefit from these solutions. And I think this is the beauty of the bank, not only speaking for myself and corporate clients and our segment. The bank is split into different segments to deal with personal clients, SMEs, and then large corporates. We really are open to deal with anybody, everybody, and anybody can benefit from these sort of off-grid and captive solutions. You talk about sustainable finance. The central bank recently, the Bank of Zambia, actually was looking at how they can drive more sustainable finance uptake in this country. One of the significant benefits of sustainable finance is that globally is that it tends to be cheaper. So if you look to finance sustainable projects, you actually are able to tap into cheaper funding. And we've seen this recently with the central bank issuing the Stability and Resilience Fund, which allows, if you're looking at solar solutions and other things of that sort, you to tap into cheaper financing. So if you're funding a project that is viewed as sustainable and has sustainable merits, you could actually then access cheaper sources of financing. And the central bank is looking not only outside of this Stability and Resilience Fund to make it part of the market norms, that if you're funding sustainable projects, you will actually have cheaper sources of financing. And then it encourages the likes of you and me and everybody else to look at sustainable means of power generation and other ways of doing business in a sustainable format.
Okay, all right. I mean, you've shared quite a good amount of information and insight into this. But if generally a company, for example, wants to get more information on captive energy, how can they reach out to you?
Well, they might call you. You probably have my number. You can let them know where to find me. But no, seriously, obviously, Stanbic Bank, we've got our website. You could always go to the website, get our details. We are based on Addis Ababa Drive. So in Lusaka, our head office in Addis Ababa Drive, you could visit us there. I'm based there. Me and my team are based there. We are ready to speak to anybody that is keen on these solutions. Also, you could walk into any of our branches nationwide. And of course, you'll be put in touch with the relevant people that can help you really solve for your problem. I think the beauty is, like I said, each challenge is unique. Each person's situation is unique, and we're looking at each and every problem and trying to find a solution for each and every one of those, and trying to deal with the requirements that you would have on a corporate basis.
Definitely. Nkandu, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the show once again.
Thank you very much, Chimweka. Thank you. I hope you guys have a great day.